It's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. So let's get into your story. I want to begin with this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing our lives, rearranging so many things. How did you get through that era, and how did it change the way that you approach business today?
Well, it definitely. Well, when it first came on, I was in doing my primary source of photography was real estate photography, and believe it or not, that kept going for the first few months of the pandemic, and it didn't really slow down. I probably lost about 80% of my, no, 20% of my business. Sorry, but at the end of the year, so it wasn't that bad, but into 2021 and 2022, the housing market really slowed down, and that kind of was related to that. I'm sure. We looking back on it, so it kind of affected my business in that way, and I actually have picked up some side work because my photography business still hasn't gotten back to where it was,
Yeah.
and so it made that kind of impact. But also, I wrote my book in 2020 as well because I had time to, and it wasn't so much that my work was slowed down because I wrote it probably in the first half of the year and I was still busy at work. But what did I do when work was done?
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a lot going on even here in Nebraska where we weren't closed down as much as other areas. It's like, oh, I still had more time and I wrote my book.
Yeah.
And so that was a positive, but the negative was kind of the lasting effects. And still today, the housing market has not picked up to where it was. And so real estate photography is kind of not, I don't even do it anymore. My
Wow.
photography is kind of, if what I do in photography is more focused on some other things and especially nature. But I also have a job working in a local school system as well as a job coach to kids, to young adults who are done with high school, but not college material, but they
Yeah.
need to learn how to work because they have special education needs, and I help them learn how to do jobs. So
Well,
that's
well,
kind
my
of changed my trajectory a little bit after
yeah,
all said and done.
for sure. Yeah, my son's on the spectrum, so I appreciate that, and I know it's very
Oh,
important in that population. So to get a
yeah.
exact handle on everything that you do on a daily basis, if I did put you in front of a bunch of kids, 12 years old, at a school, career day, and one of the kids was like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them today?
Uh, well, I do a couple different things, and one of them is working with kids that you know elementary students would know about kids with special educations who are need a little help in school. Well, what happens to those kids when they get older and they're done with school? They need to find jobs too, and I help them find jobs. But my passion work is helping people uh, uh, understand how through nature photography they can connect with God, and they could use their own photography to go out, spend time photographing nature, God's creation, and just get on a deeper level with God. Um, so
I
yeah,
like it. So let me ask you this. When you were 12 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up?
when I was 12 years old, I wanted to be a nature photographer. That was I would get these you know wildlife magazines and wildlife books, and I would look at them and be like, I want to be a nature photographer. That's what I wanted to do, and I pursued photography and wound up being first a newspaper photographer, then a magazine photographer, and I worked and with the magazine I was there for about 12 years, and then I went to freelance. And uh, so yeah, I wanted to be a photographer. Now I've slowly made my way back into nature photography and help because I just kind of started doing it more and more, and I realized as I was doing it, I was having conversations with God, and He was meeting me where I was at with that, and I'm like, hey, other people could really benefit from this. So I want to show other people how to do what I've learned to do and what I've come to do. And yeah,
S- So how did you get into photography? Take me back to your beginnings. What was this fascination with nature and photography?
I've always had a fascination with nature as a kid. Back in that day, there wasn't we didn't obviously didn't have YouTube. We didn't have even cable, all these different cable channels like the Discovery Channel and Animal Planet. But when a show was on that was like focused on animals and nature, I loved it. I wanted to watch it. Captivated my attention. And with photography, I've always been totally something about taking what's before us, that action that's happening, and stopping it, and just capturing that moment and keeping that moment in time. And how do we take this three-dimensional moving world and make it into a two-dimensional stillness?
Yeah.
And that and to go back and look at. So that really captured me and caught my attention. And of course, the beauty and wonder I see in nature, just in the and that wonder's big, and it just if the fascination level as a kid, but still continues as an adult, that fascination with wow, um, yeah, and I want to capture that that with my camera, and the essence of an animal when I do wildlife photography to capture. I love to get portraits of animals, and just to see their face, to look into their eyes, and to 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 just capture a bit of that wildness, their wild hearts with my lens and camera. Um, that kind of stirs me just to look into their eyes and do that. And of
So
course, the
who?
when you got to go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay, when you got that telephoto lens on and it's bringing you closer to that animal and you're getting the look right into its face, and it's just, yeah, that wonder. Yeah. So I want to capture that, and I wonder about that animal and all that.
Yeah,
So,
that's wonderful. So who's been your inspiration? Who's been kind of a hero for you in your life?
and if photography wise, there's been a couple of people who there was a photographer years ago. His name was Ansel Adams.
Yep.
Just a marvelous photographer. And then there's a few others that have come along and that have caught my attention, and I've just looked at their work and been admired by their work. And but also I go back as to the in the Bible. I look at some couple of characters in the Old Testament. One is uh, David became king of the ancient country of Israel, and he just was a man of faith, had a lot of faith, and he was a leader. And I just those characters just captivate me, and just like wow. And also there was another man named Nehemiah who's not quite as well known, and he was also a man of faith and just really trusted God. Both these guys knew how to trust God, and that their faith and their leadership. Although I'm not really leading in a leadership position myself right now, they just they they just made an impression on me. And of course, Jesus is somebody who I long to follow after, and look to, and just admire him and his teaching and what he's done for us. So
So what was your first camera? What was the early camera that got you hooked?
my first camera was a 110 film camera, which
Nice.
is just kind of a little box. You can't focus it, you can't control anything. You just go click, and I still have it today. Um, and I still have it. Don't use it. You can't buy film for it, but maybe somewhere you can. But yeah, I still have it. And then I got one that was had a built-in flash and a sliding telephoto lens, and that was great. But and my dad also had a Polaroid camera, and I was really fascinated like that because I took the picture and then there it was.
Yeah.
Which, of course, that's what we do all today. That's what we always do: take a picture and there it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Polaroid camera caught my attention. Then getting that 110, which camera, and I told my mother I would use 3 rolls of film a year, and that was it because it was expensive. And I told her I would only use 3 rolls of film a year, and she and so. But when I became a photojournalist, working with back in the day working with film, I'd go on a trip like I went to a trip to Africa for a week and a half and did like 90 rolls of film. So I kind of It didn't quite follow that promise too well. But so yeah, and my first 35 millimeter camera was a camera called a Fujica uh, STX1N or something like that. It was going back to that. I don't have that camera anymore, but that was my first. And I took a class in high school with that camera, and it was from there I went on to, and from that one I went to a Nikon. So
Yeah,
yeah,
right on. Well, so talk to me about your book. Do you have a copy with you? Can you talk to me a little bit about your book?
yeah, I got a copy of my book here. If it doesn't blend into my background, I'll
Yeah,
put it right here. It's
there we
called
go.
there it is,
Yeah,
and drawing. It's called Drawing Near, Meeting God and His Creation by Pasquale Mingarelli. I go by Pat for easy for people who aren't Italian.
yeah, right.
Grew up in an Italian area in New York State, but but the book is it is photographs I've taken of nature and Bible verses about nature, and then devotional thoughts to help people leave the busyness of this world and meet with God in secluded places and draw near to Him. And it's available anywhere people like to buy books online. So from Amazon to Barnes and Noble and wherever you want to buy books online. And it's also available on my website, thecreationspeaks.com.
So let me ask you this: what gets you up every day to want to get out into nature and to capture photography, to keep your spirituality strong, to do the work that you do? What is that motivation for you every day?
What that motivation is, it's like sometimes to get up early and capture that sunrise. It's just like I want to capture that beauty and to spend time with God and that quietness and that stillness of time, uh, and just to have that moment of peace because or that time of peace because I know that there's so much in life that you know makes it crazy, that
Yeah.
overwhelms us, that stresses us, that just bothers us. And when I go out in the nature with my camera and I go out there and take pictures of whatever it is, and it's just a beauty. And then I also, when I'm out there, I do want to make some videos for people to show them how they can do the same thing. And they're all on you. I put them out there on YouTube, and just to tell people this is what I'm experiencing, and you could experience it too. And you could connect with God and have moments with God, and just uh, appreciate the wonder of what He's created and feel His presence there. And so it's that kind of motivates me to get out and do it.
So if you were to run into a younger version of you, say an 18-year-old version of you, and you had a book of your life, like your book right now, and you showed it to them, and they were like, what is this? And you're like, this is what happened. This is where I'm at in life. Would that young version be surprised?
Uh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that young version would be surprised and uh in some ways, but some ways it would have been. I remember my first time I flew to Europe as a photographer. I was sitting in the airplane thinking, this is what I've longed to do for a long time. Since I probably my late teens, not necessarily my early teens, because then it was all about nature. But when I went to college and started, this was like this is what I wanted to do, and so that part wouldn't be surprised. But then there's some areas that would be surprising. Um, yeah, never thought I'd live in Nebraska
Yeah,
before
right.
because I grew up in New York State and lived in Florida for a long time. But to know that I used my my skill in photography throughout my life would not have surprised me, because that was kind of a desire of mine, and then to honor God with it was also a desire of mine. So that part wouldn't be surprised, but
Yeah.
um, some other areas would have been a bit more surprising.
So, of everything that you've accomplished and evolved to at this point in your life, what are you the proudest of?
The proudest of, with being in the midst of parenthood, everybody's thinks it's you want to say just investing your life in your kids. And you know, in the end, that's what's going to mean most to me personally. But I'm also, and that's probably top of the list of just interjecting in their into my children's life and helping them grow into the people I would like to see them be. But it's the one ultimately who what paths they choose, but to help them and guide them towards those paths and to show them how to honor God and to follow God to to be the most that they can be. That would be the most. But I'm still in the midst of that right now.
Yeah.
My kids are in high school, so but also that I've touched uh, so many people. When I get to look at my how many people would like and share my stuff on Facebook, or people, how many people have viewed my YouTube videos and things like that. To know that I'm touching people who I'll never meet.
Yeah.
Somehow they're they're you know they're being touched by me. Like before we got on, I was looking at my YouTube videos, going through my the community section, and oh, who made a comment, and I was replying back to comments. Somebody, I don't know who they are, but it's sometimes I do, but most often when I get a comment on whatever, it's like I don't know that person, but to know that I'm impacting them, or and the same with my book, that I'm touching a life and
Yeah.
pointing them to God in some way. And yeah, that's so those two things be what I'm most proud of.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, everyone you work with, everyone that gets your book, that knows your work, that you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am? I'm a person who, you know, is is in that trench just like everybody else, living life the best I can, uh, trying to be faithful to God and to honor God, and to think of do what I believe is right for my family and for me, and someone who and who am I? I'm somebody who loves God and loves what He's created and fascinated by it, and that I want to capture that with my camera, and I also want to help other people. I don't want to just focus on me. I want my focus to be on others and how I could help them in some way enrich their life and help my kids grow. That's who I am. That's what I that's what people I want to see is someone who's you know in, in through my gifts and through my abilities reaching out to do something to help other people.
So if anyone wants to get your book, they want to see your YouTube channel, your photos, any of the great work that you've done, where do they go?
They could go to my website, which is thecreationspeaks.com, and that's a every day and a Bible verse and do a short devotional thought on there. But also you can find my book on there, my free PDFs and things like that about photography. And also my YouTube channel is The Creation Speaks Nature Photography. And if that doesn't come up, you put my name in there, Pat Mingarelli or Pasquale Mingarelli. You just type that into YouTube and you'll find me there.
Yeah.
Somebody I know just did that. It's like, man, you're all over. One of my students, you're all over YouTube.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will be
Yeah.
sure to put all these links on the show notes. Pasquale, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with everything.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you having me on and allowing me to tell my story.
Yeah, it's a
God
great
bless you.
story.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Take care.